there comes a time in your life where you need to examine where you came from and kind of what made you become the person you are. And that's why I think it's important for me to kind of retrace at least part of my life, and the people that were in my life, the places that were in my life, to kind of help define the person I became. And again, that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this film, so I can kind of see, at least trace back and see the places that I used to live at. And I mean, it's not just like any other film where you're really focusing on the individual. It's more of coming to understand that anyone in their life, at some point, it's healthy to kind of, look back at the defining moments, those defining places, the places that created that archetype structure that made you who you are. Now, I really did not understand yet who I was back then. There were elements that started coming out during my teen life that kind of helped give me an idea of my pursuits, but I was still trying to figure it out. Even though I was part of a rainbow / hippie community, I was still separate from them because I did not believe in the same idealisms of a lot of them. I still believed in peace and love and understanding and caring for one another, but as to like the spiritual aspect that came with the kind of lifestyle, I was and am an atheist / agnostic / whatever. And so I kind of, not that I stood out in respect to other people's view of me, but I could see myself apart from that community. Mainly because I did not have the same beliefs, and it didn't, become evident, based off of my actions. It's just that wasn't who I was, or at least that's not, where my heart was. Really don't know what to expect. It's been 20 years, and then the area has changed a lot. Kind of give you guys a background. Gaze Mills itself lies on the edge of the Kickapoo River, and it's had issues over the last few decades that during any type of major storms, half the town would flood. And so over and over, as the floods occurred, people began to move away. And so what I'll be seeing is going to be a lot different than what it was 20 years ago. I'm already hearing stories that half the town down by the river is pretty much abandoned. There's only one store left. And so that's one of the interesting things that I'd like to take a look to see how much of what I remember is still there. During that time period of my life is when I first started doing film stuff, using old VHS camcorder, where me and my brothers, we would do our skits. We would, record our own small little movies. Using the old typical, splicing of VHS tapes together. That kind of led me into starting to do nature documentary music videos. Going out and recording nature, recording wildlife, and actually putting it to music. And that kind of helped, in the beginning, seeded my desire in the future to start doing documentary work, start doing film work. And it's really interesting then to think back and understand, see where all that started from. It's interesting once you start getting into the geographical area in which you spend a lot of your time, you start seeing familiar names of the towns and places that you frequented a lot. It makes some unique memories resurface. Already having some sort of emotional response right now, looking at some of the similar places that I've been to and thoughts that I haven't thought of for 20 years. It's weird. It's kind of like a dream right now. Looking at this landscape and the memories that are attached to them, the stuff that you were doing at the time that kind of connects you to those experiences. It's a pretty unique experience, and the surface is a lot of emotion. Here it is. The dam's on the left. You'll see soon. Apparently much of it, the lower section, is abandoned. A yearly Apple Fest happens on the right side there. I can tell a lot less activity. Small town gaze mills. A lot of time on these streets. Butcher's gone. The Red Apple Inn is closed. God, the streets are smaller than I remember. Like that's Main Street right there. It's a lot smaller than I remember. So, got in last night. A little too late to be able to register for my camping. But I got in, got set up, and met with one of my friends, someone who I knew from high school. And it's weird to kind of look back at the kind of life that that they've led, and they're still in the area. They've gone out into different areas to live, and they inevitably came back to the town. And there's a lot of people out here that I went to school with that are still around in the area. And whether or not it's financial, whether or not it's to be around family, I mean, a lot of people have gone out of state and have gone beyond to be in a different area, and a lot of people are still around. And driving through town yesterday to see how much is missing, and I'll be showing you in the film later on, where there's like literally whole blocks of buildings, not buildings that are run down, not buildings that, I mean, it's just literally they're gone. when the floods came, because this here is the Kickapoo, and it keeps, if you follow along here, around the corner is going to be the dam. And what happens is this whole area, you can see the level of the dam here, or the level of the water here, that, back in, starting about 2000, well, before that, when they start having floods, the water would rise above the bank here and completely engulf the area. And then we're on the edge of the Robb Park right here at the dam. And the water will rise and permeate over and off to the main street, which is right here. And it will completely, it goes halfway through town. And, it was beginning in 2008 in which people had to start abandoning those houses. You have whole blocks that are literally just grass. Places where I used to live. There's a spot there where, when it was like the first place I lived when I came here with some friends. Then the place next to it, which is the other place that I lived, is completely gone. Not run down, not like rubble, grass, as if it was never there. Like all the plumbing's gone. It's like looking at the grass right here, or over here. How it's just grass, as if nothing existed. And it makes me wonder how much of the rest of the town is that going to happen. You have the diehards that are still here. You have the people who are trying to stick it out because this is their hometown. This is where many of them were raised. This is where many of them came to after from distant areas, because it's a nice place to look at. The mosquitoes kind of suck, but the look of it is just as I remember. It's I forgot about this fog. Wake up in the morning and you have all this fog happening, and it's just, as a photographer, it's awesome. Be able to capture the mistiness and be able to capture the reflections on the water. And people still live here. There's only one store left in town. It is now the grocery store and the gas station. Sure, it doesn't have as much as you would expect for a grocery store. Not as much. When I had gone through shopping, it's like an advanced, bigger. It's like back in the day. I guess it would be back in the day. It would be just like an IGA. It's just not as much of each of the products as you would expect. But that's the life. There's not as much needed here. You have like the Wednesday farmers markets. You have a lot of the stuff here is local, and so people don't need a lot here. People don't need the big name brand stores to come in, because this is their bread and butter. And it's just weird to kind of look back and, not necessarily look back, but be able to see it here in person, to show that a town still keeps going. It's been becoming abandoned more and more. And I look at these places, and these are the places where, I came here in 91, and again, I had to be like 11 years old. 11 years old, I think, 6th grade, and it's these are my memories, and the loss of these places, and it's like my past, my memories are slowly slowly disappearing, because there's like less and less happening here, but it's nature. What are you going to do about nature? You can't stop nature. I would not want to stop. I wouldn't want to even try. But also, shows, how many of us made it out. you know, I had the opportunity, I had the luck of the fact that we were already traveling. So us going off somewhere else, or me joining the Coast Guard and going beyond and seeing other places, I had that easy out because we were already doing it. We were already used to it. But you know, there's a lot of people here that's probably wanted to be able to do more, wanted to go off and live in different states. There's also those who started raising families that decide to stay in the area because that's where their family is. There are probably many. There are most likely many that are here until certain family members pass away, and then they can move on. But I don't judge anyone because everyone has their reasons for being here, and I leave that to them to decide what's important for them. People's entire generations grew up here. Since the incarnation of Gays Mills and the surrounding area, they've lived here since then, and their families lived here. Their great grandparents have lived here, and I know this is. I mean, it's a nice place. There's not as much. I mean, the town is so short. You can go from one end to the other, literally driving 15 miles an hour, 5 seconds. But, it has its qualities. You look back and your memories are here. Your memories, I mean, no matter where you come from, no matter where your hometown is, whether or not they're good or bad, that's where your memories are. And that's where, I don't know, they help define who you are now and maybe who you're going to be. But it's not who you are, and it's not who you're going to be. You create that for yourself. So if you feel like you're trapped in a situation, no matter how scary it is, you got to take the steps to do it to step out for yourself, to be able to make those changes. So this is the infamous dam here at Gays Mills, and so if you actually notice right there, it's actually considerably higher than what I remember it. It used to go a lot further down. It actually had like ribs, like at least 10 feet down, that the water would slowly slow down. Now I don't know if they've had water recently, but you can easily see how if you actually, the water would rise above this bank right here. There's actually a beach, and it's only like, it's got to be maybe 7 feet down, which is this edge right here, for it to flow up into town. And then right here is the actual bridge. You can kind of see here, right over there, where all the grass is. There used to be a house there, which is where I lived at the first time we got here. And then right next to it, off frame, there's a place there called what have you, and it's completely gone. No sign of anything have ever been there, just grass. No plumbing, no footprint, no nothing. And then across the street over here is where we had the gas station. And so you have places here that it's like gone. You hear that? Nothing. Just the birds. Every so often you might have a car that goes across, but for the most part, it's quiet and still, as if nothing was here. As if, and that's one of the most likely, again, one of the advantages of people here that are still in this community is because it's quiet. The silence compared to, the local larger towns. It's kind of hard to see it in the condition it's in. Upstairs used to be, that the three windows right there used to be the living room, kitchen on the right side. We had 2 bedrooms on the left side. Mostly we'd sleep on the couch. Down below is the basement area. On the left side, on the far back, is where my laboratory was. This area is completely overgrown. Back when we were here, it was always mowed. It was big field. Chuck would always love to spend his time mowing. Now it's pretty much overgrown. Apple tree, we'd always love to get apples from. They would drop and they're just right. Now it's just a field. So I was just inside my old high school, North Crawford High School, to do some shots outside for the film, and some of the people that I've talked to, they're younger than me, and it kind of makes me think, came here, went to school here, they work here now, and kind of think, that could have been me. I could have had a position, maybe somewhere at the school, somewhere nearby. It's kind of interesting, kind of see how life goes on, whether or not you leave or stay around. I'd spend at least once every couple of days here, running the track, getting used to the physical activity for the Coast Guard, which would eventually come. And so I would try to run around at least 4 times. I think that equaled a mile. I had to get my running down to at least 11 minutes for an 11-minute mile. So yesterday was kind of a challenge. Got to check out pretty much the majority of the places here that that was like most prevalent in my memory. As you saw, the town itself has changed. The place that I lived and I spent most of my time while I was here, it's changed. The place I lived, for the worse. The town itself, just visually maybe for the worse. The school itself hasn't changed, and life continued on. But in the long run, I spent most of yesterday talking about what has gone wrong around here and how it's personally affected me. And the thing is, it's not like that here. For the people who are still living here, it tells something about who they are. The fact that a town that they've lived in for generations after generations. Some people here haven't been here since the beginning, since it was created. The fact that they're still here, it tells to the perseverance and the strength of the community here. That the fact that two massive floods destroying nearly half the town did not push them, at least everyone, entirely away. And so here's the thing. While the main town itself is bare and bones right now, and the area that we went through it wasn't in good shape. You had a lot of closed businesses. But that is just one part of the town. The part I didn't really get into because it's not a part of the town that I'm truly familiar with, or I didn't create that connection to my past. It's the fact that some, or many, some not, but not many, of those same businesses that were in Gizmos itself actually have moved to the higher area. There's actually a whole other part of Gizmos in which people are still persevering, people are still rebuilding. And again, that tells to how strong the community is. The fact that this situation could happen, and they're continuing on. They're pushing on. I mean, again, they've been here for generations, and they're still there. And I mean, even though there's only one store, they rebuilt. The store is back on higher ground. The library and city hall was moved to higher ground. The gas station moved to higher ground. Even the barbershop that I used to live next to is now moved to higher ground. So while a lot of stuff happened here, and again, it kind of is a parallel to my whole reason for this film, is that you look back to the past to kind of see who you are, and you kind of have that as a guidance to maybe the future that you might have. If you kind of translate that over to the town and what the town itself has gone through and what it is now doing, it even helps you, create that focus, that guide to your life. Stuff happens. The past is the past. You persevere, and you rebuild. You recollect yourself and keep going. While a lot of people that are here, or that were here, are gone, a lot of the people who were down in this lower area are still here. And day 2 here, some of the things I want to kind of focus on is kind of show that life continues to happen. Life, finds a way to, become positive again. And the important part is for you just to keep going. And it kind of makes you find the importance of, you look back to your past and kind of understand where you came from. But that should not be hindering you to go forward. People are always talking about being stuck in the past. And in my sense, me personally, I don't feel like that I'm quote unquote stuck in the past. I have a lot of nostalgia for this area, a lot of memories in this area. But I think the important part is to remember the positive parts of this world, the past, the things that were positive in your world to make you who you are. And in doing that, creating your own future. creating your own new memories and using that as kind of the guide to making a better life for yourself. As I say, gotta keep trucking on. Apple Country, USA. This is what this area is known for. It's known for cheese, which is typical in Wisconsin, and it's known for the apple orchards. You have people coming up just for the apple season to work the orchards, as well as to eat the deliciousness of apples. You know, you have apple butter, you have caramel apples, you have just apple cider, anything made from apples. And so even now, that's what this area is known for. All these ridges, years back they found out that the soil is perfect for apples. And so since then, it's still happening. All the orchards along the ridges here are still producing apples, and apple season usually begins September, and it goes, end of August, beginning of September, and it goes until they can't grow anymore. And in this area, Apple Fest. People come together, families come together. You even have class reunions being organized at the time, so that way, all these people come together to celebrate, the togetherness, the deliciousness of apples, and just the well-being that this area has. Again, no matter what difficulties the area has, it finds a way to keep going, finds a way to thrive. So last night was the big get-together with my classmates, the whole three of them that were able to show up. And he gave me the opportunity, gave us the opportunity to really get to know each other. A lot of us didn't know much about each other back in high school. You're running along the same stigmas of your cliques. Those who are in different areas, those who are in neutral, you really didn't get the opportunity to really know about them. And so for me, it was a good look back on those friendships, and it kind of helped me know personally those who were willing to show up. For me, that's important. And it runs into the same problem I come with in regards to the whole point for this film. I didn't want it to be overly personal. I didn't want it to be overly informational. And its importance evolved over the course of these 3 days actually filming it. I did, film personal locations that were important to me, and that was part of looking back and seeing how things have changed. But it was also, I came to find as I was filming this, how my growth over the 20 years and the courage it took me to pursue my goals and my future, it paralleled with this town. Looking back at this town, when I heard about the floods, all I heard was, stuff was being abandoned. It wasn't really until I got here that I realized, yes, it was being abandoned. A lot of the old town is not here anymore. But the people are still here. People are still rebuilding. There's a lot less people, but they're continuing on. What else can you do? Give up, move on? Sure, and that's okay for the people who did. But the people who stayed, they rebuilt. They rebuilt in the higher lands to try to keep the place that they called home. And this film isn't about me. It's not even about this town overall. It's about the idea, and again, this did not really come about until doing this film, that it's really about the fact that you're going to live your life.
You're going to have memories of your past. But the important part is to remember the positive of your past. Don't let your past define your future. Let your future help define new memories, but always look towards the future. Always look to overcome your problems and any issues that you might have, because what else are you going to do? I mean, this is no preaching. This is no nothing. I mean, it's like, what else are you going to do? I've heard of, classmates, taking their lives for whatever reason, or getting into situations where, we hope none of us ever do. And I hope, I wish I was there to kind of tell them the same thing, and they most likely were told the same stuff. And it may not have mattered, right? But all I can say is there will be problems. Look into your past is good. Let it be a guide for your future, and appreciate the past. Even if you come back to revisit it, appreciate the past, see it for what it is, but don't let it define you. Continue your future however best you can, and then go on to your next adventure. Explore the world. Find your next adventure, and just keep going.
I'm off to adventures. What are you waiting for? Come on.